fucking cool.
Women are so fucking cool.
Hi, it's another episode. That's right, you got it. The FCW Society presents Women Are So Fucking Cool. And I am Joanne Morton, a fucking cool woman. And I'm excited to be talking to another fucking cool woman. And her name is Denise Windytree. And I met Denise while she was working for the City of Savannah Sustainability Office. When I was the director of the Earth Day Festival, I worked with this office very closely for many years. And in the last couple of years that I was organizing the festival, she came on to work in the office. I was so grateful to meet her because she was a breath of fresh air, new insight. And I'm just so inspired by all these generations of people who are studying sustainability in universities and really practicing, putting into practice sustainable practices so that we can clean up the planet, clean up our economies, and it's just make the world a cleaner planet because it's the planet we need to live on. And so I'm really so inspired by a new generation, and I have hope that policy will change to affect these real changes that could happen to really support positive growth on all levels. But Denise is also is a woman who really recognizes how to balance your life. And so now she's doing somatic workshops and training. And it's just amazing how she could apply her training in a wellness breathing methodology movement into her activism and her belief and knowingness of what we need to do as a collective community to heal our planet as ourselves. And there are new insights and new ways of doing things. They're not really new, they're just going back to old ways and incorporating them in our current systems. And I think that is like so necessary. And again, it inspires me that there are generations of people in the workforce who understand that and are actually putting that into practice. And I am just so grateful for future generations what they have in store for them because of the work that they're doing. And even though sometimes it feels like it's hopeless, what the fuck? I want to just remind all of us, no matter what generation you are, we all need each other to bring out the positive changes that are happening and that are possible. And if you don't believe me, listen to what Denise Windytree has to say, because she is a fucking cool woman. I am here once again with another fucking cool woman. So this has been such a pleasure to talk to so many women. And today I'm talking to Denise Windytree. And she and I have known each other for a couple years in Savannah. And I can't wait to hear what your definition of a fucking cool woman is, Denise.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Joanne. Um, when I think about fucking cool women, I'm thinking about women who are in their power, who are doing the work to reclaim their power, to connect to their innermost selves, um, for the sake of sharing that with the world. There's this balance of going inside, doing our internal work, being in the subconscious, being on our journeys, and then also like, what are we here to do? Um, we're here on Earth for this short time for a reason. And um, I was in a call with a fucking cool woman who I will shout out later, perhaps as well, but Dr. Rosales Meza, and she was saying, like, it's great to do the internal work and be in the spiritual world, but like, we need you here on Earth. This is the reason that you're here. So when I think of fucking cool women, I think of women who are like grounded in themselves and also sharing that with the world.
That, yeah, I'm really glad you brought up that because we know it is the action that creates the change.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And what kind of actions do you think fucking cool men are taking?
Mm. I think fucking cool women are taking actions to lead their families, their communities, their neighborhoods, um, showing up for each other, cooking meals for each other, taking care of each other. There's so much of that mutual aid and community work that needs to be done right now, that women have been holding down for centuries. And then there's also the work of saying no, standing up, going to a protest, or leaving the life that they thought was right for them, that maybe somebody else said, hey, that's how you should be, that's the job you should do, or the partner you should take, and actually saying, there's something inside of me that's calling me elsewhere. And even though it's risky and scary and I don't know what's going to happen, like I'm going to step out into the darkness to find that greater calling.
You brought up a really interesting topic that I really do think it's so important to bring up about changing your choices that you made because someone told you that you should be married, you should work a corporate job, there's all those shoulds. And I will always be forever grateful for women who chose to not take those routes in the 50s, the 20s, and the 70s. And so therefore me, myself,
Mm-hmm.
took that choice of not following that path. That isn't a bad path, but it's not the path for everyone.
Yeah.
And so I really do feel that's what fucking cool women do. And how do you feel? What I'd love to hear your insight on choosing paths because I think you're of a generation that has more choices known to them. Maybe not always available to them in some situations. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm deeply grateful to the lineage of women who have come before me, um, and queer people who have created such an ability for me to live a wild, powerful queer life as a young woman in this country. Um, when I think about choosing path, I think about, yeah, like, can you hear what's inside of you? Can you hear how you're being called into anything, whatever it is for you? You know, there's as many different unique expressions of life as there are unique beings in the world. Um, like you said, you know, it's really powerful to be able to leave a corporate job or a marriage if that's like a script that's been handed to you that doesn't match what's inside of you. Um, because what matters is what you're doing is conscious, you know? I think there are a lot of women who are coming back into the knowledge and the felt embodied sense right now that working all hours of the day, all day long in some office and then coming home and doing all of the housework is deeply out of touch with our natural cycles, the cycle of the body, the cycle of the earth, how the earth produces and creates and harvests when it's time. Um, and it takes community to take a risk like that, you know, whether that's one relationship of like a mentor or a therapist or a relationship with spirit guides that are not actually present. Um, and then if you're lucky and if you're blessed to have like really fucking cool women actually around you in your life who can support you to take those risks, I think that's how we're all able to move forward together and how we're going to keep supporting each other to break away from the lives that we've been handed, um, and create something that is very old but new for this society in this time.
Well said, well said. And I always give this invitation to all women who hear this is if you are at FCW, if you know inside you're a fucking cool woman, you have the FCW society on your side. You have
Mm-hmm.
a society ladies, you know, who respect, encourage, and celebrate all people.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to keep, that's why we need to share and take action in our fucking cool selves, because we show people what's possible.
Mhm.
Yeah. So on that note, share who are some of the fucking cool men in your life or that you admire.
Mm. I think of mostly two groups. I think of the fucking cool women who are my friends, and I think of the fucking cool women who are my mentors and teachers and like teachers of my teachers, um, in the lineage and in the path that I'm walking as a somatics practitioner. Um, I think of, like, to throw it way back, Virginia Satir was working as a psychotherapist in the 1950s, one of the only women in the field, and she's known as the mother of family therapy. Um, and my first somatic therapist, the person who really changed my life, brought me into my body, Anne Lindyberg, she was a Satir trained therapist. Um, and as someone who grew up in a family where, the line of mothers and of deep knowing and like awakened powerful women was broken, and I didn't have access to that. It was really life-changing to learn from that lineage and from Virginia Satir's lineage. Um, I also think about Stacey Haynes, who is one of the founders of the Somatics lineage that I work in, the Strozzi Institute for Somatics. And she is just such an incredible woman. She founded this organization called Generation 5, which has a mission to end childhood sexual assault in 5 generations, and is a political organization. And as they were working, they were like, wow, this is so important, but it's so triggering. Like, of course, there's so much trauma there. How can we resource ourselves to heal this trauma? Because we deserve to heal, and also so that we can do the work to prevent trauma from happening in future generations. And so she's done a lot to create this politicized somatic methodology that I work in now, with Windytree Somatics. And then, yeah, I think about my friends. I think about my friends Victoria and Lola, who are fucking cool women that you can find like teaching yoga classes or jumping in the ocean or just like showing up with huge hearts. They've been organizing community care circles ever since the election in November for people to come together and gather and just journal and talk about what's on their hearts and the fear and the worry we have about the world. And any woman who is creating and holding space like that, there's this theme, right? And in my fucking cool one, there's this theme of like political work and also community care. And I think the unique perspective of us in that space can be like those two things are not separate at all. And we're not going to hustle and like 40-hour work week our way to a new world. We have to come together and slow down and feel, um, and do all these things which like are our birthright as humans and have been kind of shepherded into the domain of women in our current society and its gendered roles. So there's a superpower in that we can leverage to bring to all people.
I'm pausing just in case I want that to be the end. Superpower to all people. Yeah, that was really good. And I'd like to know more about those care circles. I'd be curious. I'd love to just pop in if it's possible.
Mhm. Yeah.
And because I find it, it fascinates me, intergenerational shit, man. It's so trippy being of a certain age, and we have different, my experience is different, so I feel things differently because my experience is different, and so I'll never forget this conversation that we had right after Earth Day, with you and Katie, and I'm forgetting that other woman's name that was organizing it, for,
Yeah.
and the three of you had such a different energy, kind of vibe, just just a different something when it comes to the work that we have to do and the climate crisis and all of that stuff, because that's the only thing you've ever known.
Yeah.
So you approach it differently because it's in you. Where me, I remember a time where there wasn't any. We didn't have to have that thought, and we didn't have to think about it. It just wasn't, there were people out there talking about it, but they were, and I believed it and I followed it, of course, but it was just different. It was just different. Um, and, um, and I think that is something that I'd like to look into more, how to have more listening to different generations,
Mm-hmm.
because we both have something to share,
Yeah.
to offer, because I don't know what
Yeah, it's like I mentioned, like those intergenerational lines of maternal knowing, like there's so much power. And those lines have been intentionally destroyed, no matter who your ancestors are at some point. And now we're in the time of like pulling them back together and reconnecting all the threads.
exactly. And I also liked what you had to say when we can't move into the new world on a 40-hour, 80-hour work week.
Mm-hmm.
Share more about that.
When I was working as a community organizer, in Iowa in 2020, I can't remember who said this to me, but somebody said if we were able to work hard our way to a new world, we would have won it in the 60s. Like to look back and say, we've been in this fight for, let's say 60 years if we just count that modern wave. But really, especially Black Americans have been fighting for liberation for the last 400 years. And this endless turning of struggle has been going on for who knows how many generations before that. So it's not actually some kind of specific goalpost that we can run to. And it's just like how many hours you put into running will get you closer. That's not really how it works. Um, it's very popular right now to say like, oh, rest is resistance, joy is resistance. Um, and I just taught a workshop 2 days ago that was all about somatic resilience, as in what somatic practices resource your system and allow you to feel like, oh, that's good. I feel alive. I feel present. I feel safe right now. I feel overwhelmed with joy. Like we need embodied memories of what is incredible about being alive on Earth so that we know that we're fighting for those things and that we can resource ourselves and pause in between fighting for those things. Because, of course, rest on its own is not just resistance, especially outside of the context that idea was created in for Black women. Like for other people, it's like, well, there's a lot of fucking work that we need to do, especially white people in America right now. It's like there's a lot of work that we need to do. But taking our dominant white shaping of like I'm just gonna hustle and do it really hard is like not gonna get there because that's the shaping that is cut off from the earth and cut off from community and our body's needs that got us to this point. And there is a way to do it in alignment with all that is earthly and physical and an expression of love. Yeah.
It's so true. So true. I think that's it. I'm going to stop recording because
Hmm.
I think that we're in recording.